Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, Jacob. Let's see if we can get you in here. Mm-mm. This piece, man. Very strong piece. All right. Let's see. All right, Jacob, you in there? Okay. I don't know if you wanted to do voice. Um, I'll just get going. So, you already know there's a lot that I really love about this piece. So we'll kind of skip over that real quick. I want to find the kind of the weaknesses, the things that you can improve, in my opinion. This right here is the beauty shot, the money shot. This is the just beautiful composition. It just looks good. Has a very strong impact, compositionally speaking. Um, let's real quick. Copy image. This bad boy over here. New one. Where's my pen? Should have been prepared for this. There you go. Sweet. Okay. So, um, first thing, this glow. I don't know. I'm not seeing it in the other renders. I think that's a mistake. Overall, I think the helmet is a mistake. Like, I think the modeling on the helmet is legit. Um, it just takes away from us really understanding that this is a kind of an undead creature right away. I almost want to just have the helmet kind of placed on his side right here. You know what I mean? Just kind of placed on his belt or something, just to really show that head the way it was before. I think he still had it. Uh, yeah, just that bald head really helped sell the idea um, for what he was. I almost wanted the helmet to kind of sit over here and just break that silhouette because it's a good model. Um, yeah. Something else that you did decide to do was add that light around inside the eyes, and it's not really working. It's not really working in my opinion. It actually worked better before um, when it was dark. I did have the idea for you of using a. Let's see. I wonder. Can you send me? Can you send me the original one without the helmet? Um, so yeah, we'll come back to the helmet and the head. Again, composition is really good. I do have a slight issue over here. What is this? Let's do sharp. Okay, so in terms of the kind of pose, you got this going on, and then it goes down here and does this, right? Um, so uh, and this whole weapon kind of comes off of the frame a little bit too much off to the side, right? And it's a cool angle. It's cool energy. I almost wonder if it'll be better. Now, again, for practicality standpoint, you do want to hold a weapon. You want to create leverage farther back for the strike to really land. But for composition reasons, there's just a lot of empty weight over here and a lot of empty weight over here, right? So I almost wonder if you change the hand to be a little bit more kind of like this, right? And then have the blade kind of end up somewhere around here, right? And going up like somewhere like this. Maybe have a little bit of something kind of flapping, you know. And sometimes they had some sort of fur or something, or even fabric, just something. But changing it to have this kind of thing showing up from behind, and that way you're containing your composition a little bit better, and you know, maybe you can even get away with framing it, because you do have a little bit more slack on this side, so you could probably get away with framing it closer to what you have. But let's say, oh, I did it all in the same layer. Pro moves right here. All right, let's see. So new layer. So if this composition comes out to about yay and creating this kind of triangle, it's actually not bad per se. I would still bring it in a little bit more and still have a little bit of that. This is somewhere around here, and I would like to see the base kind of extended to cover that. Further, the base I think should be darkened a little bit, just kind of gray it out, because we want the attention to be drawn over here. And again, very good triangular kind of composition. Something else that kind of bothered me is you want to show some kind of blood and darkness on the hair, especially this guy. You want to darken that out. The hair is very much one color. I don't know what your options are in terms of that. But yeah, I would darken out the base and darken out their hair a little bit to show this kind of this bloody scene, right? Maybe throw in a couple of arrows that are just lodged here on the ground and one here to kind of break up that sword, you know, would be pretty cool. Just a couple, you know, one here, two there, just to break it up and just kind of create this and support the triangular kind of composition, help frame it. In terms of the armor, so your rendering, we looked at it, you know, from this is Substance Painter, I believe, right? And it just looks phenomenal, and obviously it's not going to look as good in Unreal, right? So, and this is I think an older version, probably. I don't know, because you added a lot more blood and stuff over here, and specifically here. I did ask you to add a bunch of blood and coating and stuff like that. This is still Marvelous, I think. I'm sorry, I keep saying Marvelous. Substance. But over here, especially on the areas where you have all this blood and mud, you have it overriding the normal map of the actual plates. And it's not... I still want the form of the plates to be very, very clear, right? So we're losing a little bit of this. You can see when we zoom in, you notice that I would love the darkness of those plates to, like, in those forms, to kind of stay consistent. You know what I mean? So, like, I would love for those plates, you know, whatever you need to do in the way of whatever you need to do in the way of your normal maps and you know, maybe a roughness map as well, so that we don't get any shine out of those cracks. I just want those cracks to be a little bit deeper and darker, you know, and maintain that.
so that you're not losing the normal maps even when you have all this all this blood on top, right? And we see this kind of happening here when we're a little bit losing those forms. So probably a pass on the roughness map will I think just help, because it's just I just wish those cracks would just be a little bit darker, to kind of show that there's some kind of spacing in there, and it just goes in, And I don't know if that's something that you can do in the way of pushing your normal maps a little bit. I really want to maintain those forms. I really want it to feel like it's separate plates, and not just a texture, right? And a lot of the times over here, it kind of disappears in the texture, You did address the angularity that it had, but I would do a pass of the roughness at least, to make sure that wherever there's cracks and kind of seams on between the plates, just really bring that into black, to make it very, very rarely visible. You did correct me that everything was posted from Unreal and nothing from Substance. Okay. Either way, I'm still referring to this piece. Yeah, because it's very shiny in some parts, and the quality of this armor is not as good as this one, obviously. But and you did do a really good job, kind of helping sell the lighting on this to create almost an HDRI effect, or environment map effect, right? So it looks really, really good. I just think the materials could use a pass. Some things are too shiny, some things are not shiny enough. So just another pass on that. Let's see. Still waiting on you to send me a version of this from before you added the helmet. I really think the helmet should not be on the head, just because it had a really, really menacing sort of look when it didn't have the helmet and it was just the head. Although, again, the helmet is a good model, so I would add it somewhere. Again, preferably like tied on here to the side, just kind of filling in this space, creating some sort of a silhouette, right? Now the blade, I think, needs work. It always looked a little bit too soft on the edges for me. I'm not buying it as sharp. I'm not sure what the name of the weapon is. Maybe if you can, let's see. Forms were updated. The forms was updated. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, I would like to see it without the helmet. But if you don't have it, yeah, you might need to redo that render. But in terms of that blade, again, it just seems like too, like if I wanted to sell this as something sharp, like this edge would have been a lot sharper. To the corners need to be a lot sharper. And that's a lighting thing. That means that the form that you have is not particularly sharp. But it would look like a certain way if it's meant to be kind of sharp and glossy and shiny. Right? Just really, really looking to sell those forms. Again, all that noise is fine, but you want your form to feel like it could cut, Podao. It's called a Podao. Let's see. Because right now it looks too thick and not, kind of not sharp enough. So, Podao. Let's see, images. Okay, Podao. Okay. Usually, I'm looking at a Podao and it's got a curve, almost like a scimitar edge to it, and it's a lot thinner. if this is what you're going for or something like that, right, it's gonna have that curve, but you see how sharp it looks? It's just a lot thinner. So if you're going for something like this or any kind of other, it might be stylized a little bit. Let's find, let's do maybe a Chinese put down. Yeah. Yeah, they all got that curve to them. This one sort of doesn't, but even this one that's slightly angular, this one right here, you see what I mean? Like it looks like it has a clear angle shift to come to a sharp end, and this is kind of what I was drawing over here, right? So the blade certainly needs work. The shaft is a little thick, right? I would end up with you know, I would end up with something like this. Not even have a break in the middle, you know. That's kind of what they're going for. And again, I'm removing the noise just to simplify the form, right? But basically, you know what I mean. So I'm removing all the texture just to communicate what I mean with the form. Okay. Well, you know, it has a very, and sometimes they do have a curve to them. Oftentimes, more of the ones that I've saw have a curve to them. You know. Whatever. I'm just painting over. But just really doing it in a way to just sell the sharpness of this thing. And after that form is very clear, then you can go and add all that detail work. All right. So when I first suggested make the eyes glow, I actually thought blue would be a better color just because you have that fire behind. So the red, you have a warm on warm. It doesn't really work. It's not a good contrast. It would have been better to leave it like blank and dark and empty and dead and terrifying, right? But either way, I don't think the red kind of works for me at all. I gotta get rid of this pink, hot pink. It's driving me mad. All right, just desaturating it a little bit. Desaturating it a little bit. Next, we're gonna see what it looks like a little bit darker. All right, just kind of the sunken, kind of dead eyes. Okay, I think that had a certain terrifying quality to it, right? And if you wanted to have that magical light, I would have gone with a more ethereal kind of blue or cyan, something like that, right? And just added a little bit of, but really kind of keep it simple and alien, okay? You know, just kind of cold. Just a little bit, just a little bit. All right, and now it looks like fucking lifeless, you know. Again, not necessarily exactly that, but just as an idea. And you don't even have to have the lights, you know. You don't have to have the lights. The fire is plenty, but if you wanted to have lights, I would have gone with a little bit, just a little bit more cold, you know. And especially, you know, I do know that you have all that redness over there on the face and such, but I wouldn't have done like a big source of light. You don't want to, from a cinematic standpoint, the more you show of the bad guy, the less intimidating it looks. He or she looks, right? So, so you want to have, or the monster, whatever it is, right? So you want to keep certain things kind of mysterious and dark, right? You still want to show your work.
but you don't want to overexpose it. And those lights that you had were a little bit too much. So in this case, I think less would have been more. You know, so just something like this would have been enough. You don't need crazy lights going on the face. There's enough in the environment to help show everything that you've done. So you don't need those red lights at all. If you're gonna have any lights, make them colder, but don't have them so powerful that they're revealing too much about the face. You know what I mean? Less is more. Less is more in this kind of regard. Yeah, and what I mentioned with the pose, right? They're just kind of bringing it a little bit more. Just there's too much opening down here under the sword, so the sword goes up too much. So I would just change that angle, especially since the arm angle is like goes this way, and then like the wrist is breaking. And whenever you're doing a hero or a villain, you want to have their wrists nice and locked. It shows stability and just kind of it conveys strength when the wrist is locked to the forearm, you know? So I would just adjust the forearm instead and have it, I don't know if I drew that. I think it was on the wrong layer, right? But when I mentioned it earlier, for the forearm, we'll do this color, okay? So the idea of what I mentioned was that if you're gonna change the angle a little bit to here, you're gonna bring this forearm down a little bit to like here, right? And then he's gonna hold it the way he's gonna hold it, something like this, okay? So the forearm is gonna be lined up with the flow of the weapon, right? And and of course the weapon itself needs work. What I mentioned with the hair of the guys, adding a couple of arrows, moving the helmet to his hip, just so his head is very clear, so that you see that what you're dealing with, silhouette wise, and then the lighting on the face is less or non-existent, right? I would just throw a little something, you know, with a self-illumination or something, or even do it in post, you know, like you can easily do something, but I wouldn't add a strong light source in the eyes, okay? What I mentioned with the hair and the overall bloodiness of of the victims, you know what I mean? Like you can take that same thing right here and have a little bit of it kind of dripping, you know. It's a little bit whatever, a little bit on the environment. You can really help sell that, you know, and have the environment come out a little bit more on this side. I think once you do this, and again, what I mentioned about the materials on the armor itself, right? That it's kind of been disappearing. The cracks have been disappearing inside of Unreal. So definitely take a closer look at that. Make a good presentation, and again, the rest of this presentation is absolutely just solid, right? So I don't know, maybe even lift it up a little bit so we don't see the lightness over here, right? We don't need to have this horizon visible. Overall, this works without it, so you know, you could even change the camera angle a little bit so that we don't see that. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Yeah, so we'll do that as a second pass. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit me up. I think this, I would love to get this featured as soon as possible. So I don't know, I don't know how much time you have to work on this, but I think that'll be a very, very strong candidate for in the character department. So yeah, do those tweaks as soon as you can. This is going to be a strong piece. And we'll look at the second pass. I think you should be good to go. Yeah, great work, man. You should be proud of yourself. You went to town on this piece, and it shows. It shows. I think we can push it a little bit more. I know you can do it. All right, buddy. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you next semester. All right. Peace.